Manufacturing has a strange effect on art. With the precision of machines and mathematics, we can make perfect curves, perfect symmetry, and replicate the result to a virtually limitless scale. This is obviously very attractive from a practical perspective, but doesn't it take something from the art? Isn't there a level of personal attention, imperfection, uniqueness that we lose when it isn't a pair of hands crafting the thing personally? In many ways, this is also the conversation writers are having about genre. Should I invent, build with my own hands from the ground up, make my work as unique as possible, or should I trust the tried and true machinery of genre convention? Easy to feel like the answer is obvious here. I certainly did. But give me a chance to change your mind. The answer may be a bit unconventional. A special thanks to CuriosityStream for making this video possible. And now you can also get access to our streaming service, Nebula, for free when you sign up. More on that later. Welcome back to Tale Tips, where I use my vast robot intellect to answer the questions you have about writing, storytelling, and fiction. This month's question comes from our lovely subscriber, Big Bang Theory 0000, who asks, how much should genre convention influence a story? First of all, this is such an interesting conversation to finally chime in on. I've been thinking about this for years, and I'm really only now putting all the thoughts into words. Hopefully there's something useful in all of this for you, but either way, it's a great question. Thanks so much for asking. To start with, genre is not a very well-defined thing. I could go on for several small eternities about the different perspectives on how to use it, why to use it, what it even is, but I think that's for another video. The important thing to understand for this question is that when any trope, structure, or method becomes prominent enough within a genre, it sort of starts to consume it. As if all the authors have convened and agreed that, yes, our crime thrillers will have a morally gray anti-hero protagonist. Of course, that isn't actually how it happens, but sometimes conventions become so synonymous with the genre, you could fool me. What we really need to figure out is not whether it should happen, because it's going to, whether we like it or not, but what we as writers will make of it. How these conventions affect our creations. One perspective is that conventions are essentially a genre's rulebook. In his book Story, writing consultant Robert McKee says that each genre imposes conventions on story design. The audience knows these conventions and expects them to be fulfilled. Consequently, the choice of genre sharply determines what's possible within a story, as its design must envision the audience's knowledge and anticipations. Essentially, whether they should or shouldn't, the audience will come to each story with expectations. Some of those expectations will come from precedents set by other works within the same genre. The audience may come eager for more of the same, and they may be disappointed if they don't get it. The contentious part of this to me is whether that even matters. He says a story's design must envision the audience's knowledge and anticipation, but why? Well, if you're trying for a positive general reception or commercial success, it makes sense. Convention can be a good predictor for those things, but I'd speculate that this thinking is how we keep getting non-stop remakes of the same films, reboots of the same franchises, stories that just sound like echoes of the stories before them. On the one hand, conventionality is safe, and if we're honest, probably more guaranteed to satisfy your audience. You'll know it works before you even put pen to paper. On the other hand, that sounds like a pretty cynical reason to tell a story, doesn't it? Because it's commercially viable or predicted to succeed, it's not wrong to want those things, but to make decisions about what will be in your story for their sake? The idea leaves a bad taste in my mind, as if genre ought to be a tool for market assessment rather than categorizing art. This seems to make more sense as a way for producers to decide where to put their money than it does for writers to decide what to write. I tend to think of genre as descriptive, not prescriptive, meant to describe something which already exists, not provide a template for what can. And apparently, I'm not the only one who thinks this way. Back when I was reading Terry Pratchett's nonfiction anthology, A Slip of the Keyboard, I came across a term I'd never heard before. In a part of the book where he's discussing how much the fantasy genre sometimes resembles, quote, Tolkien frozen and reheated, he uses the term EFP, which stands for Extruded Fantasy Product. If you're not familiar, extrusion is a manufacturing process used to create objects of the exact same shape and size by forcing material through a shaped hole and then slicing it up. It's cheap, fast, reliable, and about the easiest possible way to make a bunch of identical products. This, Pratchett feels, is essentially what convention does to creativity. When a book is successful or revolutionary enough, it creates a sort of extrusion die for the genre, which authors begin to force their material through. Eventually, everything comes out looking pretty much like Tolkien or Asimov, or if it's 2013, Suzanne Collins. In the worst-case scenario, producers and publishers might be following McKee's advice from earlier and doing this intentionally, sending authors who don't want to force their material through the die away. In those cases, we use the term extruded book product to describe the result. Things which resemble unique fiction, but are really just carbon copies of the successful thing which came before. But that isn't always how it happens. Sometimes this is just a matter of experience. By sticking to a genre, only ever consuming one thing, we make an extrusion die for ourselves. If high fantasy is all you know, how can you be expected to write anything other than elves, dashing rogues, quasi-medieval European settings? You haven't seen what else there is to write about. In Pratchett's words, read widely outside of the genre. Read about the Old West, a fantasy in itself, or Georgian London, or how Nelson's navy was victualled, or the history of alchemy, or clockmaking, or the mail coach system. Read with the mindset of a carpenter looking at trees. This, I think, is how you avoid getting trapped by genre convention. Step back, get out of your genre for a moment, give yourself an opportunity to see the manufacturing process your fiction has gone through, and then change it. If you want to. I've kind of been making convention sound like the end of all creativity or something, haven't I? Let me be clear, it isn't. While I do think it's cynical to choose what you write by your potential for commercial success, and I think it is a shame when what you're writing is a pure product of pigeonholing, that doesn't make conventionality itself a bad thing. These are just approaches to it which I think serve writers poorly. But remember, the reason something becomes conventional is because it was worth repeating. And usually, if it's worth repeating, somehow, some way, it was probably effective the first time. We might not always get why, but we know these things work, so they become reliable tools for us. A foundation. If we can get past the false conceits and be aware of why we're using them, they can do a lot of good for us. I mean, look at Dungeons & Dragons. I sometimes hear people gripe about the homogeneous high fantasy elements that seem to crop up pretty endlessly there, but the game is complex enough without having to reinvent the wheel every time you play. Understanding your baseline for enjoyment, established things which have worked for you in the past and you know will continue to work in the future, actually frees you up to be creative in a ton of other ways. For instance, fundamentally, we get what an elf is. You don't have to tell us too much about that. The interesting part comes when you decide that your elves have always believed that they're immortal, but they've just discovered they're not. And so, throughout the campaign, you're exploring a place of existential dread with an entire race of people who have to confront mortality for the first time and have no idea how to do it. Building on convention can be really cool, and this works in pretty much all genres. We can create the familiar, the extruded story product, and then tweak it. In fact, I think it's sometimes these little variations that carry the greatest potential. It's a lot to ask any one author to change an entire field, and the world isn't always quite ready for projects which aim to do so. But a little difference in something we already recognize? That we can handle. That we usually love. The way to get started playing around with all this convention stuff is to get away from it. Sometimes you can't see the wood for the trees, so you first need to broaden your horizons a little. And the way you do that is by learning. Learn everything, especially stuff which seems like it has nothing at all to do with the genre you mean to write. And don't make this a chore either. Consume good books, good films, good video games, anything that will give you fresh ideas. One of the best places you could possibly go for this is our new streaming platform, Nebula. YouTube is a weird place for educational content. It's hard to be as open and honest as you want while simultaneously trying to satisfy the algorithm and dodge some kind of terrible fate like channel-wide demonetization. So, a bunch of us educational creators got together and made our own platform where we don't have to worry about all of that. All of the videos there, including ours going forward, are ad-free, they come out sooner than they do on YouTube, and there's tons of original content you couldn't find anywhere else. We might even make some ourselves soon. And the best part is that you don't even actually have to pay for Nebula if you don't want to. The good people at CuriosityStream love indie creators, and they've decided to foot the bill for Nebula for anyone who signs up with them. Get a year of CuriosityStream, and you get a year of Nebula for free. This is amazing because, for all of you creatives, it's hard for me to recommend CuriosityStream enough. If you like highly produced documentaries, the kind you can sit back and listen to for hours, soaking up information you never knew how much you needed to know, there's no better streaming service for it. CuriosityStream has thousands of titles, including videos about everything from prehistoric aquatic monsters to the cutting edge of modern science. As a big writing nerd, I personally recommend their documentary A Dark and Stormy Night, about the writing challenge issued by Lord Byron, which led not only to the creation of the first vampire romance, but also Mary Shelley's Frankenstein. Go satisfy your curiosity. Sign up for a year of access now and save 26% on your subscription. That's just $14.79 a month for both CuriosityStream and Nebula. Click the link in the description or go to curiositystream.com/TaleFoundry and use the code TaleFoundry to get access to both streaming services for less than $15 a month. Feed your brain. Learn. That is the best way to break convention. And finally, before we wrap up, I'd like to give a quick thanks to all the helpful humans who support the show on Patreon. All those words you see scrolling in the background of these videos, those are actually the names of our Patreon maintenance crew, without whom this show would be impossible. And a special word to all our top patrons, Excelsius, Lord Gate, RPG Grenade, Puzzling Shutterbug, and the Autumn Rider. Thank you so much. We'll be deciding on our next Tale Tips question soon, so make sure you subscribe to the channel and leave your question in the comments below. Who knows? I might even end up answering it. Until then, thanks for watching, and keep making stuff up. I'll see you next time. Bye!